Turf today. Get up and brush off the dew on that. Turf today. Turf today. Turf today. Cut it and roll that dew on that. Turf today. Turf today. Turf today. Set up, they about to come through on that. Turf today. Turf today. Turf today. Get up. Turf today. Get up. Turf today. Let's get out the way. Here comes first play. Let's maintain that turf today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Today. My name is Adam Kershane, and as always, joined by Mr. Brian Laurent. And this week on the podcast, we sit down with Garrett Bastardi, Head of Innovation and Development at Flash Weather AI. That makes him a storm chaser / meteorologist / just straight up guy who loves the weather. This is cool for us. We haven't done something like this, so it's awesome to get to talk to somebody who's got some knowledge and a little bit of education for everybody out there. In this episode, Garrett shares how he's helping superintendents and decision makers rethink how they use weather data and how technology is reshaping turf management. We also talk about his days growing up around golf and state college, chasing thunderstorms and tornadoes with his old man, his experience working events like the US Open, and a few stories from his playing career. And I should say, these are wild stories, because Will Smith, O.J. Simpson, and Donald Trump? Yeah, let's dive into this thing. As you guys know, Turf Today is recorded on the Superintendent Network and is brought to you by Toro. When it comes to innovation in turf care, no one does it quite like Toro. From precision mowers to advanced irrigation systems, Toro's equipment is built to perform day after day, season after season. Whether you're maintaining a championship golf course or a local muni, Toro delivers the reliability and results you can count on. Trusted by turf professionals around the world, Toro continues to push the industry forward because great conditions start with great equipment. Toro, always solving, always evolving. Yeah, so we're 9 o'clock here, and then our guest is, I guess he's 8 o'clock. Texas?
Yep, he's getting started early. I think he's got a conference or something today, so he wanted to try and get on before he went on with his day. So, yeah.
Little podcast before the conference. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to wake up.
How are things going with you?
All good here, man.
You're sorry, you're eating a catching. Ask you a question as you're taking a bite.
Done. Nope, you're good. All done, man.
Yeah, things are good down there.
Finishing up my morning granola bar here.
Nice. I'm doing the Costco protein shakes today. Got one of those on.
Nice.
Didn't have time for brekkie, so just like, I'm gonna grab one of these.
I think I told you. I mean, I've been on like a meal a day, just trying to limit myself to one big meal.
It's been working.
It's been great. Yeah. So a little snack like granola bar or something every now and then. When I stick to it, it works great. Leaves me lots of calories so I can go out with the wife and go to the bar and not feel too guilty about it.
That's right. That's, there's so many different plans and ideas about weight loss and keeping your body in shape and stuff. Through hockey, it's always been calories in, calories out.
That's it.
If you're taking in less than you're getting out of there, or, you're going to do it. So
yep.
Sounds like it's working for you. Different things work for different people all the time. I don't know if I could wait all day to eat dinner time. I'd be freaking out, but I'm sure once your body gets used to it, you'd probably be fine.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, and it's easy when I'm on trips because, first thing in the morning, I'm not really thinking about eating. I'm just thinking about getting to the course. And then I get knees deep in whatever's going on. And by the time I get out of there in the afternoon, it's, where am I going next? And if I'm really hungry, I just grab a big, late lunch, and that fills me up until the next day. So
That
works out
works.
great. But
Sounds like a superintendent. Can't really
yeah,
eat till two
exactly
o'clock
right.
or 3 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah,
right.
been there.
Follow that same pattern. But yeah,
Yeah.
what's up with you?
Not much. I think it might snow here tonight. So I know
Oh,
last week I was mentioning we're trying to get the car in the garage and a few other things buttoned up and cleaned up. So still working on that. Might have to put few hours at that today, try and get that finished. And yeah, the I don't know if you followed the shot on Instagram over the weekend. That was a bit of a crazy one. I know you and I didn't talk about that too much leading up to it, but working with the Toro guys, do a little
oh yeah, yeah,
giveaway.
yeah. No, I saw that.
Yeah, so we
I
wanted to
never
do a
saw the
little.
outcome though.
Oh no, the second video, part two video is up right now, and it hasn't
Okay.
got a lot of traction. So I think some people just weren't expecting it to come that quickly, or kind of forgot about it. But it's up, and we have our three winners picked. But I did say
Nice.
during the video I was going to tell the story because it was kind of wild. Like I was going to shoot the video on the Wednesday, and we ended up recording. So then I pushed it to Thursday, and it rained for 2 days. So we wanted to put the video out Saturday. So Saturday morning I got up and I was like, "Honey, I got to go to the course for an hour. We got to shoot this video so we can put it out." And she's like, "Well, you got to literally have an hour because we're going to this thing, and you need to be back here and everything." So I raced to the course, and the first tee time was 10 o'clock. And so I figured, okay, if they tee off at 10, I'll just head to the seventh tee box and it'll give me an hour to kind of get it all done. And it's the elevated par three and everything.
Yeah.
So it was the shot that I wanted. So I get all bundled up. It's freezing cold, freezing cold. I head out there, get the tripod set up behind the green. I head up, go to take the shot. And I'm like, fuck, I don't have anything to measure the shot. Like I'm going to take this shot and I'm not going to have anything to measure. So I head back to the shop from the tee box, grab the measuring wheel, go back and I'm ready to hit the shot. And I'm like, I don't have a golf ball. I had an original cart all packed up with everything and I switched carts and I took everything except a little bag of balls that I had. I figured I'd probably have to hit like 10 shots to actually get like a decent one.
Yeah.
Even hit the green. Like, so I'm like, no, what am I gonna do? And I'm thinking this whole time I'm thinking, I don't have a full battery on that camera. It's freezing cold out. How long do I have before that thing goes? Like, I gotta get this shot off. So I'm ripping through everything in the back of the cart and I find this old Kirkland ball. I'm like, okay, perfect. I run over to the camera, do the video really quickly, put the ball down, and I hit it. And Brian, I'm like, this might go in. Like I've hit a ton of balls off that tee box, and I was like, this might go in. This was the club, get the wind perfect, and it just lands like right in front of the hole, bounces to the right a little bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, I hope the camera got that. I hope the camera got that. Drive all the way down there, camera's dead.
Oh no.
I was so rattled. I watched it back too. It died like right before I was about to take the shot too. So I
Oh
had it. I
no.
definitely had it. I just wasn't quick enough. But the
Oh,
camera angle does you can see the ball coming down and you can see where it lands and stuff from the back cam. So it was enough proof there. And then I filmed it all as I'm walking up to the ball, basically where it
yeah.
is, where the ball mark is, and then I measure it, and it was 3 feet 5 inches.
Oh,
So
dang, man.
it was a dart. Yeah, yeah, one and
Yeah.
done. The old
Look
one
at you,
take.
gamer.
I was as I'm standing over the ball, I'm like, buddy, it's either in the water or it's got to get tight. Like here, we got one chance here. You got to
Yeah.
come back later in the day to do this, or you got to come back tomorrow and do this. Like, and
Well, I
yeah,
was wondering
just
how you measure because I saw all the guesses were in feet and inches. I was
mhm.
wondering if you were going to go metric system on the measurement. I wasn't sure if that was going to disqualify all of the American guesses
Yeah,
that
that
were in
could have thrown
feet.
it off. No, the wheel that we have is in feet and inches, so I figured that
All
was the
right.
easiest way to do it. And somebody guessed 3 feet 6 inches. Somebody guessed 3 feet 4 inches. Nobody actually guessed 3 5. But we got our three winners. And, congrats to the three people. We've been in touch with all three of them. They're all very, very excited. And we had over 1,000 people enter the giveaway. Other,
Nice.
Instagram, Facebook, people that wrote in. I had texts from buddies. I had people trying to get inside information. I didn't even tell my parents. Like I was hiding this. I was hiding that so hard. And then the fact that it was such a close shot was cool. And then you get a little bit of how many balls did that take you? How many shots did that take you?
Yeah.
I literally had like a few minutes to make that happen. My one buddy's like, you didn't even take a practice swing. Like,
Yeah, no, that's impressive, dude. I
So
can't
it
do that.
just
I'd have to stretch for 20 minutes before I hit that
I had
shot.
so much anxiety, man. I can't believe it worked out. And it was a fun, like to have 1,000 people kind of guess where it was without even knowing kind of where the ball was going to land on the green, made it for a really interesting contest. So, like I said in the post, we'll do it up bigger next year. We'll get a few different cameras on a green and have a really, a really good one. Try and get a few more people involved.
That's awesome, man. That's huge.
Yeah, so it was a fun one. It's it could have gone bad. The camera dying. That's me being a bit of an amateur with that kind of thing, but I'm getting better and I'll learn my lesson for next time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all right, man. That's all right. You had a good angle from the tee, so it's perfect.
Yeah, no, it worked out and excited to be able to send out some Toro stuff to people
Yeah.
and we're actually saving one of those bags to bring with us to Myrtle. So if you're going to be at the show in Myrtle, there will be an opportunity to win one of those Jones Toro Turf Today bags.
And that thing is legit.
Did you have it in your hands? Like you've actually held one?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
Got the shipment the other day and opened it up. They are sweet. Nice carry bag, nice little Sunday style bag.
Hmm.
If you enjoy walking the golf course, it's the perfect bag for that. The colors are just phenomenal. Love it. It's like a little faded washed red with the white logos and everything. It's sick. It's
Nice.
sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Anne Marie
The
from
kids have
Toro.
all tried to steal it from me. So it yeah, I've got it sitting right now just kind of in my laundry room area, right where you walk into the house. I haven't switched over because I've been playing a lot of cart golf lately. So
Mhm.
next trip where I know I'm going to be huffing it, that baby's getting used.
Nice. Yeah, get some
Yeah.
miles, get some pictures of it.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Can't wait.
we'll have another one available coming up in a couple weeks. We're only a couple weeks out from the show. Really
Like
looking
2 weeks
forward to
from
that.
today, my man.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be heading down there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good week. It's always one of my favorite events of the year. Great gathering, big group of people, lots of post conference activities on the evenings. So yeah, it's always a great event. Can't wait to get down there.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, the GIS down in Orlando or Arizona, wherever they have it, it's always so big. You can't do
Oh yeah,
everything. You can't see everybody. So this one being a little bit more intimate, you can have some more of those conversations, and people aren't as crazy busy. So I think it's nicer to have something at this scale. But it's also for the people that are down there and everybody that kind of works the show and is involved in the show. It's the big one for them. So it's exciting.
yeah,
I haven't been at one that's this kind of scale yet. So looking
yeah.
forward to checking it out. Pissed we're missing the golf though. Like getting to actually golf in
Yeah,
Myrtle
no,
Beach.
man.
That's a big draw
Yeah,
there. So we'll plan that one
yeah,
better for next year. Get down there a little bit
yeah,
earlier. And
yeah,
I know, and
yeah.
we're flying down, and we got the text from United where they're basically like, "Hey, we changed your flights. If you want to, edit it, you can, but we've kind of changed your flights. So you go to edit it, and there's no options. So you're
Dude,
basically just like you go from a 2 hour layover to a 6 hour layover, and there's nothing you can do about it.
yeah. Oh man, I hope this whole shutdown thing ends soon. It's gonna have a big impact on travels. So
Speaking of all that, our guest today, first meteorologist on the podcast.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
exciting. I was trying to come up with some questions yesterday and today, just to getting to talk to somebody about like really specifically about the weather. I think that's so interesting, and Garrett's such a beauty, so it'll be a great chat.
yeah. Great guy, incredible pedigree. His father is a very famous meteorologist. His grandfather's a meteorologist, so it just kind of runs in his genes. And also one hell of a golfer too. So it's cool that he's able to kind of mix two of his passions and help out our community with all their weather needs because it's always like I remember doing education for different seminars and stuff I was planning, and weather was always like the number one thing people wanted to talk about. It's like, well, what do you want to know about the weather? Well,
Yeah, what
I
can we
don't
do
really
for you here?
know, but like weather, I want to know about weather. Like, well, okay. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the weather. We'll
Yeah.
see what Garrett's got to say, and lots to talk about. Obviously, they just had that big hurricane kind of rip through the Caribbean, however you want to say it. I know he was tracking that and was, those guys, they're kind of like pathologists. They get geeked out over big storms. So Everyone else is fearing it. And he's like, yes. Right, Garrett?
There he is. Hey, were you guys talking
What
about
up?
me?
Yeah, I was just saying, you're kind of like a plant pathologist who studies diseases. Like they're happy when diseases start making their way into turf because it gives them something to talk about and look at. It's like Garrett gets really excited when these big storm systems roll through because he just it sucks for us, but for you, it's like you love that stuff.
Nothing gets me going quite like that. It's the same, chasing storms, but like tracking storms, stuff like that. Like that's just like the Super Bowl for
Yeah.
for me. My dad always talked about like post-storm depression. Like you track it for like 7 days, 8 days, and then it's like happening, and then it's like it's towards the end. Like we talked about a little bit at Oakmont, where it's like for Mike, it's like, what's Monday? Like you're on this adrenaline high. It's very similar. It's very
Yeah,
similar.
yeah. You
So,
fix all the shit that got busted up during the event is what happens on Monday,
right.
right?
Yeah. 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 And have to start worrying about members,
Yeah,
bitching
yeah.
about stuff. So,
Yeah, man.
but
Well,
good to see
appreciate you
you.
jumping on here with us. We like to just kind of
Definitely.
get straight into it. So
Yeah.
it's a hot mic already. You sound great on there. You've got the pro
Yeah.
setup. I love it. So
It's not his first
um,
one.
The media team, the guy who runs kind of our live streaming and everything, is a former TV meteorologist. He's like, we need to get you a mic. And so they sent me one. The next is a camera. I'm just using my Mac camera. So the next step
perfect.
is, so yeah, we're ready to roll.
The
We're
Mac
getting there.
camera always works, man. That's all I'm
One of the
just
best
running for
ones.
mine too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Give us a brief overview of who you are.
Garrett Bastardi. I'm the head of innovation and development for Flash Weather AI, a role that's kind of evolved over the last year or so. Went into kind of the golf superintendent network, or the superintendent space. That I
I
guess it
like
is
the
a
plug.
network.
You're good.
Yeah, I
like it.
know,
Yeah,
I
it works
know. Look
good.
at that.
well.
I mean, that's how you know it's good branding because it just flows off the
Yeah.
tongue.
Make sure I
Network
get
of
your Venmo.
superintendents. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, went into this space of working with golf course superintendents in late 2020 into early 2021. Prior to that, I kind of had one plan, and that was to try to play professional golf, and did so on the mini tour level, and going to Q school and playing in state opens and playing in mini tour events and Monday qualifiers for about 4 years prior to that. Played a lot of pretty high level junior amateur golf and amateur golf, and at a certain point got into COVID and had to sort of make a decision. Battled a couple injuries, the whole gambit, and so had an opportunity to use my meteorology background. Third generation in this, have been effectively studying the weather since I was like 2 years old. Started my first like forecasting service, if you will, when I was like 15, on Facebook, and then on another site. And so just kind of utilize the relationships built in golf, utilize the relationships built through forecasting the weather, and knowing people in that space, and who I met in school, and was able to develop a platform called T3, or Turf Threat Tracker, we called it. And we basically started with developing a frost forecast algorithm, a proprietary algorithm that was specific for superintendents and specific for helping those guys make decisions on days that were impacted by frost, which can be a lot of the country, a lot of parts of the year. And it kind of turned into, like, where do superintendents find their weather to begin with? Where are they getting it from? What are their sources? And there really wasn't a comprehensive source for short fuse decision making operationally, and then both for the health of the turf. And so what we ended up doing is building out a platform, beta testing it with several notable and really well respected superintendents, and then we built that network out to about 50 and tested it with them. And then after about 4 months of development, we figured we had something. And so this was in early 2021. Over the course of 4 years, kind of built that business up to over 175 superintendents across the country, using site specific, high resolution, turf centric weather data to help them make decisions. And then in the last half of that time frame, Flash kind of came along in a way that wasn't necessarily looking for a business partnership on either end. And it just kind of turned into that. Our CEO, Jason Deese, and myself really got along, really share a vision for how we look at, intelligent weather and how it can impact, businesses and consumers alike. And then, we were able to kind of make something work where T3 became a part of Flash. We have a whole expanding, agronomy portion of what we do. In addition to, using unbelievable resources and unbelievable talent to develop, some of the most intuitive and cutting edge, weather data and forecast out on the market. So, right now, that's what I do. I help develop. I take, really from the market, whether it's a golf course superintendent, whether it's a pro now, whether it's an athletic director, any sort of business, as well as consumers. So if you guys have any suggestions, we always take them, but take from the market and then try to relay to our development team and our team as a whole as to, hey, this is what, the market is clamoring for. This is what people want. Can we utilize the data we have to develop this? And so we use AI and deep learning and machine learning to help our models train to have accuracy. And then we try to roll that out to people who are trying to make decisions that could be, pretty costly, whether it's safety or if it's efficiency for a business or just communications for really any line of work. That's really what we do. And then, like we were saying at the outset, like my background in the weather is just, it's the first thing I remember loving. I love sports a ton. I mean, Brian and I we'll talk about football. He's a Buckeye, and I've had to live with.
I was going to let it slide for you, Garrett. I'm sure you're still in mourning, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm numb to it at this point, and I almost said in the you guys sent the questionnaire, and I almost said like, what's the entry fee to join the bandwagon? Like it's almost at that point now. So
we'll welcome you in with open arms. You're welcome
you're not
to
Michigan.
join the Buckeyes.
Yeah, you're not Michigan, so I can live with Ohio State sometimes. But both my parents were college coaches, college athletes. My sister was a college athlete. Same with myself. Like sports is a big part of my life, and then the weather. And so any way that we can kind of tie in together. Anyway, I can tie that in together. I've found something that I can live with working in if it's not golf. So, that's kind of the spiel and kind of the background of, to this point in my life. So.
It's a great breakdown. And that's exactly it, man. You're living the dream, being able to work in a field where you're passionate about things and, you kind of brought your two loves together. So that's huge. I'm a big fan of the app. I use it all the time. I've always used the radar and, 14-day forecast and stuff like that. But the app is so much more, and we'll definitely get into that. I'd like to go back and talk about that pivotal time when you do decide to kind of get out of golf and get into a little bit more of the, meteorology side of things. A lot of that inspiration must come from your family with your grandfather and your father being a part of that. Just talk to us a little bit about, kind of growing up with them and learning the ropes from those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, it's surreal. I don't know what the word is, but like, I'm not exaggerating. When like I remember like we'd be driving somewhere, maybe a road trip. And my dad that day would say, there'll be thunderstorms on the way. And I'm probably 3 or 4 years old. And we could see, if we're driving, I could see it going by and missing. Like I'd be like sobbing. I'd be like, please, can we go drive into the thunderstorm, please? And my dad's like, no, like we can't all die here. Like it just is the first thing I remember having a passion about. My grandfather went to Texas A&M and was a meteorology student there in the early 1960s. From New England, from Rhode Island. So a Rhode Islander moving to Southeast Texas in early 1960s, just unheard of, but had a passion for the weather. In fact, it's kind of like lore in my family that my great grandfather was the person everybody asked about the weather when he was in Sicily. And so it's just something that, runs in the male side of the family. The women really don't care that much, honestly. But and then like my dad, he to me has been a big inspiration. He is an encyclopedia. I mean, a savant when it comes to the weather. I mean, he loves his family, loves God, loves wrestling. He really, really loves the weather. Like that is his passion. He could sit here and ask you guys, hey, what was your birthday? What town were you born in? What date? And he could tell you what the weather was that day in that town. It's just out of control. So he has an encyclopedic knowledge. I have a similar knowledge, I guess, in like bigger weather events. I could definitely name like when and where weather events happen, but like he can do it for any weather pattern. He just studies and studies and studies. So he got an undergrad from Penn State, but like he's never stopped studying the weather. And so, growing up for me, I was walking the halls of AccuWeather when I was like 5 years old. My mom, who was a gymnastics coach at Penn State, growing up during the summers, she would run, sports camps for Penn State gymnastics. And so I couldn't stay in the dorms. I'd have to go into work with my dad at 3 or 4 in the morning. And there were all these booths with the radio booths, and they put a mattress in, and I would sleep in AccuWeather and then wake up and just be a kid in a candy store. So, that's just kind of what I was brought up in the weather. As I got older, I started trying to forecast myself as I could drive. Then I started chasing storms, whether it was thunderstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, whatever it might be. All the while, like playing sports, right? Basketball. And then, it was 11 or 12. We moved next to a golf course. Prior to that, I would play some golf. But then, right around 2008, watching, Tiger towards the end of that like 11-year run, him winning the US Open was, for a lot of mid to late 20-year-olds, like a turning point in what sport you really wanted to play. So baseball got kicked out, went into golf, and just had a good group of guys that I played with who we were able to push each other and get better and got pretty good pretty quick. And so that ended up being sort of the passion to go chase for, the next decade at that point.
Fall isn't the end of the season. It's where next year begins. As the turf recovers from summer stress, it needs strength, resilience, and foundation to thrive through winter and explode next spring. That's where Apex 10 comes in. With organic carbon, powerful microbial activity, and improved nutrient efficiency, Apex 10 builds deeper roots, stronger soil, and healthier turf right when it matters most. Don't just put your course to bed for the winter, set it up for success. This fall, elevate your turf with Apex 10.
What was that pivotal moment then where you said, all right, it's time to get a real job?
Yeah. When I would only hit, 11 greens around instead of 14, and that number wasn't changing, and would have 30 putts instead of 27. Right. It was in COVID. There was a lot of things went on in a lot of people's lives during that year. And for me, it was definitely just trying to figure out like, okay, well, there's no competition right now. No one's playing except if you're on TV. No money at the time, at 24, 25. What is the plan here? And, my good was good enough. And at times my good is still good enough, I feel like, but just the consistency level of those guys is just, it's on a different level. And so, really the whole pivotal point, I guess, was just after Christmas in 2020. I was in Pinehurst. We were going to play Tullamore. And the night before, I'm with a bunch of guys. We're out. We have like a 7:30 tee time, and it's like 11 o'clock. And I'm like, I know there's going to be a frost delay. Like we could all sleep in. We don't have to get up early. But there was no communication. There was none of it. And I knew where to look. And so we get there, and you got 100 guys just waiting in the parking lot on December 27th, just waiting for communication. Well, it gets to be 9:30, start seeing people leave. And I'm just like thinking in my head, I'm like, there's got to be like, that's like greens fees, that's money. Like there's $2,500 that just left in an hour right there. There's got to be a way that we can capitalize on this. And so that's kind of started the whole idea of like, well, let's develop a consumer-based frost model that, either can be used by a consumer or a superintendent to help with communication so that, like some of our superintendents do now, the night before they're able to say, hey, look, we have a 95% chance of frost till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. We're not getting a mower on any piece of property until at least 9:30. So pro shop, let's delay tee times till 10. And in my mind that morning, I'm just like, if they had that communication and said, hey, we're going to shotgun at 10:30, they might have lost no revenue versus maybe losing, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 at a pretty big public golf course in a matter of a couple hours. So the return on investment seemed like it made sense to us. And then, we just kind of went to, when I say we, a couple of my friends who I had met at school and went to school with, who were much smarter than I am when it comes to coding and being able to develop the models. I'm just the conduit, right? I just like, hey, can we build this? And they're like, yes. And so we built it, and went into 2021 really developing the platform. But yeah, the pivotal moment was definitely that COVID year. Just kind of the shift in, do I have the finances and the resources to keep going at this for 10 more years? Because if I'm in it, I'm in it. There was nothing else I'm going to do. I'm not going to go work and try to, make a professional tour at the same time. It was one or the other, and we chose the other.
Talk about that lifestyle as a mini tour player. It's not as glamorous as a lot of people think. It's it.
No, no, it's like minor league baseball. Like one of my best friends, who was a top 3 round draft pick in the MLB, played at UVA, went to IMG. He was one of the guys I played a lot of golf with growing up, and still play golf with. Unbelievable talent. He played minor league baseball, was drafted by the Tigers, and it's like bus trips to like Hartford, Connecticut with like 15 guys, right? Or no more than that, like 30 guys just crammed in a bus. And it's like everybody thinks being a professional baseball player is awesome. It's awesome if you're on the top level, right? But if you're in that kind of like the minor league stage, single A, double A, it's not as glamorous. That is exactly what I would, kind of make it out to be. A lot of traveling by yourself. If I had one of my buddies who wanted to come caddy for me, that was awesome. That would make the trips more fun. But a lot of just like in the hotels by yourself, and just, trying to scratch and claw for every stroke. I mean, I had reality kind of dealt to me a couple times at the G Pro Tour in North Carolina. You shoot 70, 69 and miss the cut by 3 shots. And it's just like, okay, I guess we're on to the Monday qualifier for in Greensboro for a Corn Ferry Tour event. And so, it was a great experience. I mean, just got to meet unbelievable people. I had unbelievable people support me. At the same time, that in the competitive aspect was, I mean, I love competing. There's a lot of deeper things into that, where it's like you have a lot of success growing up, right? You're maybe the best player in your state, best player in your area as a junior, and as an amateur, you play in some high level amateur events. Got to play with Bryson DeChambeau, got to play in events with Davis Riley and Justin Thomas and those guys growing up, and not a ton, but a couple here and there. And locally, you do really well, and you think, oh wow, like this is easy. You just win, and it feeds back, and then your identity kind of is based on the winning, and you like the winning part. And then you step up a couple levels and you don't win as much. You start getting the confidence shook a little bit, and you got to kind of reevaluate. And some guys are built for that. I think in a lot of ways I was built for that as well. But it's just a different world when you're going out there against the resources. Growing up in Central PA, not having the biggest club ever to work at and play at, or the greatest facilities, it makes a difference. It's the same thing in like football. When we talk about football, like the school that has unbelievable facilities and resources, they can just keep going and keep going and keep going. I had to pick and choose my spots as to where I was playing, where I was a member at, so on and so forth. And so did that make the difference between 11 greens around and 14, or 26 putts and 30? I don't know. A whole combination of things played into that. And so basically it came down to, is this the lifestyle I want to continue to go through until I'm 35? Right. I looking at it now at 29, just, 3-year anniversary yesterday, met my wife 3 year or a little over 3 years ago. Wouldn't have happened if I didn't stop playing golf at that level. And so, I think things have shaken out in a pretty good way. I would like to be able to get back to competing at an amateur level, which I do a little bit, but, it's just it isn't as glamorous as people make it out to be, unless you're on that top level. It's a lot of fun.
I know we've mentioned it a few times in the show. I kind of went through something similar, and it's hard to kind of find stability when you're doing something like that. You're traveling a lot, you're all over the place. It can be hard, but it sounds like you made the right decision. You found yourself in a good spot with a good job. And dude, we got to go back here. Okay. Because most people don't just casually say that they chased tornadoes and hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of those things we're gonna have to go back to. Talk to us about that.
Definitely.
Any crazy experiences? What was that like? Because that's not a normal job.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, some people like to skydive and some people like to bungee jump or whatever. And I get that same feeling when you're chasing a big storm. Yeah, I mean, my dad would take me out. There'd be a thunderstorm in the area. I'd be 8, 9, 10 years old and be like, hey, let's get in the car and go drive and chase it. And we'd go do it and, go drive through it. And in Central PA, the storms aren't too bad generally. It was like, oh, cool, there's lightning and there's thunder. 2012 was my first dose of a hurricane. I would say I was in New York City for Hurricane Sandy. My dad was doing a lot of TV for Fox News and CNN and was on set for it in the city. And so I went with him, missed a couple of days of school, rode out the hurricane in there. Was obviously pretty bad for that part of the country. And then as I got older, could drive any severe weather event within 3 hours drivable in Central PA. Like I was planning out days in advance, like, what's my route? Where's my target? Stuff like that. And so, you don't see a ton of really bad thunderstorms or tornadoes in Central PA. I will say what's ironic is, I chased probably, for 5, 6 years in central Pennsylvania, did not see a tornado. And it's very rare there. While I chased, the only time I did, it actually hit my neighborhood and I didn't have to chase. I literally stood outside the front door.
It came to you.
It came to us. And man, like my family is insane. Like you can see it, like it is on the other side of our neighborhood, very clear. And any normal person's like, oh my God, we got to get inside. And I'm standing out front with my dad. And my mom, of all people, my mom is intense. She was a coach and she was an intense person, doesn't really know a ton about the weather. In fact, her big thing is like any sporting event that's on TV. What's the temperature there? Like just all like clockwork, like just doesn't know. But she's like, Jesse, who's my sister, Jesse, get out here. There's a tornado outside. Get out here and come watch this. And it's like, even what are we doing? And so, and then, as I got into college and afterwards, I had a little bit more, kind of spread my wings a bit. My dad and I would start traveling to go chase hurricanes. And so, 2021, we were in a category 4 and we drove all the way to Louisiana, rode out Hurricane Ida, which was just it was insane. Jim Cantori, who's a friend of my dad's, who I'm sure everybody has heard of, he was in New Orleans. We weren't in New Orleans. We were north of, because we didn't want to get stuck in the city. And he's like, you got to get into New Orleans. Let's go. And the night before, we're like, do we go into New Orleans? But we didn't do it. We stayed north of there, and just rode it out with, my dad's pretty well known in the community, knew some guys who were also chasing. And there were like 25 people in a parking garage riding out this hurricane from all over the country. And just you meet people and it's pretty interesting. But when I moved to Texas, that's where kind of the game changed for me, chasing wise. I mean, the storms here it's a different level. There's just more energy, more heat. All these storms ride off of heat. And so, in the springtime, you can get some pretty unbelievable, thunderstorms, even that don't produce tornadoes. I mean, it's just you don't want to drive into them. You kind of watch from a safe distance, I guess. And so I get a lot of adrenaline from it, the whole process of it. I mean, the night before, the day before. Also for me, I'm not a storm chaser it's not my job. I don't produce really content. I produce the content for myself so I can go send it to people or post it on my Instagram, but or X account. But some people do this, they will chase every single day for 200 days. And for me, it's all right, I'm spending the 3 days leading up being is it worth the 8-hour drive or the 12-hour drive over the course of the day to do this? Right. So there was a high risk in Mississippi in late March this year. And I the day before am every hour going back and forth. Am I going to drive to Mississippi for this? Is this worth it? Do I want to get up at 4 a.m. and do it? I'm going back and forth. My wife's just make a decision. I don't care. It was a Saturday. There was nothing going on. I'm fine, I'll do it. And, caught a pretty big tornado. So it made it worth it for sure. It was a 7 or 8 minute adrenaline rush. And then I'm all right, I guess I start driving home now. So it's but a couple years ago, and I'll send you if I didn't already show you the pictures, Brian, Adam, I'll send it to you. But, a couple years ago, my dad and I chased, and had an unbelievably, maybe the tornado of the year north of Dallas in late April or late May 2024. Just a culmination of everything. It was almost kind of emotional at the time. Like my dad and I always talked about going to the plains to chase, and to see a tornado. Like, I mean, it was just him and I in the car. We were kind of in a caravan, then we split it off and sort of forged our own route, which is kind of what we do, I guess. And it was just it was unbelievable. Like words can't really describe how it was picture perfect, clear, lightning behind it. And it was just like him and I watching that, and like I'm like I get retrospective in the moment a little bit, and because I've seen that stuff before, I've chased. He's freaking out, like he's just oh my god, like just if you've ever met my dad, like he's a very animated individual, and I'm just like Dad, get in the picture for a second so I can get you, and he's just like is not listening, and it was just like a perfect encapsulation of everything, and he's like, well, let's go get closer. I'm like, Dad, like the whole point here is like to get the visual of it, not to go flying in the tornado. So that was pretty cool. And then the last thing I'll say is like last year we came down every May. Now we kind of go and say we're going to chase, and we went to Lubbock, Texas, and Midland, Texas, and Odessa. Drove 8 hours, really caught nothing but a sandstorm or a dust storm. And then the next day drove back and really didn't see much either that day. And so we kind of struck out and probably spent 25 hours on the road seeing nothing. But we got to spend, 25 hours together. So that was fun. Yeah. But you don't always win on the storm chases. I've had some good luck early. You got to take the wins with the losses and the losses with the wins. But yeah, it's a pretty fun. Like I said, it's an adrenaline rush. Some people like to do other things to get adrenaline. There is nothing like starting to see those thunderheads in the distance, and you get closer, and it's just like, here we go. Like, how am I going to avoid dying here? That's kind of half of the mindset.
It's an interesting hobby, just trying to avoid dying.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. I mean, but that's how
getting
I look
close
at it.
to death, but just not quite there.
Yeah. There's been a couple times, never truly in a super bad position, but at least in relation to a tornado, sometimes you get caught, and never been caught in a really bad hail core where it's like baseball size hail, but they move at 50, 60 miles an hour. You got to think on your feet. You kind of get to a general area, and then it's kind of like you can only plan so much. You got to you don't know exactly where the storms are going to be. And so you just got to, make the right decisions in a split second. You got to know what you're doing. I mean, you got a lot of people now, and I'm not a gatekeeper. Like some storm chasers, like, oh, all these people shouldn't be doing it. Like you do what you want. If, you have a lot of photographers in it now, there's a lot of content to be made. Some are really, really good at it. Over time, everything's built with experience, but those first 5 or 6 years, of chasing, and you don't really have that background. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm only 29, but, what you're kind of doing. Like, man, you go out into northern Texas and Oklahoma during a big chase day, like you have like traffic jams, like it's called chaser convergence. It's a conga line of just people driving 2-lane streets, people pulling off. I mean, it's a pretty wild scene. You want to get a day of content. We'll get a high risk in central Oklahoma, and we'll all go drive around and see all that stuff. It's pretty crazy. It's a different world. It's a different world.
So how accurate is the portrayal of chasers like in the movie Twisters?
Yeah. Well, Twister is my favorite movie ever. If it's on TV, like I really stop what I'm doing and I'm watching. I've probably watched it 500 times. Twisters, I was super like, I'm lowering my bar because Twister was just so good. Like I can't even. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman and Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. I mean, unbelievable, great job. But Twisters, like the portrayal was really solid overall. It was like obviously Glenn Powell was a sort of like a Reed Timmer, sort of like Reed Timmer is the Tiger Woods of chasing, if you will. He just is like he's insane. The tornadoes he gets every single time in a big chase. Like he somehow wins the contest of getting in the most insane position. And so his portrayal was a little bit more, I don't know, cowboyish, I guess, and just like Wild West vibe. But you do get those little, I don't want to say rivalries, but people are competing out there and, trying to get the content, trying to get the best shot. And then obviously Twisters goes into like the scientific part of it a little bit of like, how do we stop this, right? Which was what the original movie was kind of about. And so that is what the community is generally trying to get from a meteorological perspective and a research perspective, is just like, how do we improve warning time? How do we make this safer? While there's others out there just in for the, in for the content. And so I'd say the portrayal was good. The graphics, man, like unbelievable. Like I was very, very impressed. I'm like, this looks real. This looks like what it is. And so, nothing's like obviously being there, but to see it on a screen like that, my standards are high for a movie like that. And I was happy with it, I will say.
Kind of like a golf movie, right? Like you watch it and you're like, oh my God, that's so fake.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Dude.
It's like watching, what's it with Owen Wilson right now?
Yes. Yeah. Stick.
Yeah. Stick. Like, it's good. And I love Owen Wilson. There's certain things it's like,
yeah. It's like you watch it and you're like, he's teeing off in the wrong direction. Like that's not even, it's not even putting green height. What are we doing?
Exactly.
Here, guys?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do people like really have those anchors in their trucks where they can like dig into the ground and hunker down?
Yeah. So you have the Dominator, which is Reed Timmer's. He's got 4 of them or 3 of them. It's like a big F-250 just with armor. It's a tank. Like I've seen it in person. Like it's crazy. And he's got like kind of sliders that go down and anchor into the ground. Obviously Glenn Powell's like actually were like stakes. His like make it so it's like it's almost like a shell and it's like into the ground. Yeah, they will anchor down. You'll hear it. And sorry about hearing my dog whine.
Oh,
I
no,
don't know
it's
what
fine.
her deal is, but you will hear if he's chasing and they're going to go into it, you'll hear Reed Timmer on the live stream and there'll be like 1 million people watching. He'll just be like, all right, put it down. And they're putting it down and they're putting the anchors down. And yeah, it's a real thing. He's the only one that does it. Nobody else really does it, but I mean, he's kind of a psycho. So
that's nuts.
He
knows he's a psycho. He'd be okay with me saying that. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So we've talked about some big storms here. What about on the golf course? What's the biggest one or one of the craziest ones you've seen there?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man. There have been a couple times I've been out. So I lived on a golf course in State College, Pennsylvania. Evenings, I would always go out and just walk out and usually maybe just take a 5-iron, just go play with one club and just try to see if I can get 9 in an hour. And I've been caught out in a couple out there where it's like, and you would think like I'd be watching, right? And there's sometimes I'm not watching and you go out there and it's just like, okay, I'm under a tree and I'm terrified of lightning. I think lightning's cool if I'm sitting like in a car and taking pictures, but like out in it, like all my friends know, like if there's even a chance that I'm going to get struck, especially now working for a lightning safety company, it's 10 times worse. Like if I see there's a chance, I'm like paranoid. So I'd say a couple of those. I do have one. When 2016, I was actually playing in my club championship at Toftree Golf Resort in State College. And big thunderstorm. What's that? Yeah, exactly.
Shout out Ben McGraw.
Yeah, and Luke. Yeah.
Yep.
And Luke's a member out there. Dane Young, assistant pro, Steve Wager, the pro, Tyler Butts, the super. Love those guys. They're very good at what they do. And probably, having been around probably helps the cause too.
A little bit of access to some turf knowledge there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry to sidetrack you.
Yeah, no. But yeah, big like thunderstorm was coming in. We're on like the 5th hole. I think we're all square. Me and a friend of mine who were playing in the championship, and we're like, let's just call it. And like, we don't want to start and restart. Like the weather will be good tomorrow. It was kind of one of those you can schedule on your own. So we only got through 4 and it was like, all right, let's reset it. And like, we get to the pro shop and I'm looking at the radar. I'm like, this has like a kind of a supercell tornado vibe to it. I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to go chase this. And a couple of my buddies, I was in school at the time, a couple of my buddies in Penn State meteorology are like, are you on this storm? I'm like, I'm going. They're like, we are too. And they were out ahead of me and took some pictures. Like it was a tornado producer. Like it was, so we were on it. And so like, I couldn't get off the golf course fast enough to go chase this, potential tornado. And still probably of all the storms in that area, that's probably the closest. It had a funnel cloud. It was rotating. It might've touched down, but it was a little baby central PA tornado, but left the club championship to go do that. And then fortunately the next day came out and played pretty solid and ended up winning my only club championship.
Oh, look at
on
you.
my resume.
So if they didn't,
Yeah.
if they didn't call it, if they didn't see
No,
something,
yeah, I don't know.
and they didn't call it, would you have left to go chase that?
No. There's been a couple, I will say there's been a
Priorities.
couple
There we go.
times I've been on the golf course and I'm like, man, I really want to leave and go chase this. Like, I really do. Like, it'd be like a random like Nassau game or something. And it's like, I could see it. Like, why wasn't I thinking that was a chance? And then, but I end up not, I stay in my prior commitment, but I would have stayed. I would have stayed and try to battle it out. So that was my responsibility. Chasing it's like a third tier, fourth tier thing. Like, if nothing else is going on, I'll go do it. Right. And if I have
family golf
responsibility,
chase.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
We are back with another Ask the Agronomist segment featuring Dr. Tony Goldsby from the Andersons. Our question today comes in from Christopher62. What's one agronomic practice that Dr. Tony thinks more courses should be doing these days?
Awesome. Well, thanks again for submitting the question this week, Christopher62, and thanks for having me on the show again this week, Adam. Another great question. And if I had to, pick one, I'd say really kind of ties back to a subject we had on a couple podcasts ago. Really just talking around intentional nutrient timing and really precision feeding, right? So getting kind of back to those basics of feeding the plant when it's needed, and not just kind of following an application calendar, if you will. And I think it can be easy to become comfortable and, kind of approach things with a broad brush, look, if you will. And maybe that will or won't always align with plant uptake patterns and clearly how, weather can have a big impact on your nutrient program. So I know like our team, and there's a lot of other, programs out there like that. We rely a lot on our turf nutrition tool where we can kind of hopefully take a few of those factors into account, whether it's, weather, geography, and, how those products are going to perform and how the turf's really going to respond when you put them out. And, ideally, when you're trying to dial in nitrogen, really, we always think about it from a bookend approach. So for our, when we're in the early spring or fall months, how can we put down, a granular applied product with some controlled release nitrogen that's ideally going to, feed for a little bit longer than those summer months out here, which are, inevitably very brutal for us, especially when we're talking bent grass greens and you're just trying to, spoon feed those and give them a very little bit of nutrition each week to kind of get them through those periods in time. So if you can really, match those right to where they're supposed to be, and again, not overcomplicating things, but being purposeful with those applications, that's always going to be really helpful. And I love, seeing more and more superintendents are using moisture sensors, clipping yield data, and even small scale tissue sampling to kind of adjust their programs. And, those guys are obviously approaching agronomy just like it's precision, agronomy and turfgrass management, and the results are going to show. So, yeah, that's a small one that you can do right there, but obviously a lot of different agronomic practices they're getting putting into play there.
Awesome. Love that one, Tony. This wraps up another Ask the Agronomist segment featuring Dr. Tony Goldsby from the Andersons.
So going into what you're doing now and kind of helping the superintendent and the turf community and a bunch of other communities, but specifically from superintendents, what's the number one question you get asked from those guys and gals?
Yeah. Say over 80% of everything that we get question wise is precipitation related. Just even pop-up thunderstorms, pop-up rain. That's so much of what they do is just dictated on that. If are we going to spray? Are we not going to spray? Can I bring guys into work? How long are we going to have to hang around? Are we doing bunker maintenance because a pop-up thunderstorm dropped an inch of rain in, I don't know, an hour, a half hour? So I would say the majority of the time, that's the majority of questions we get just revolves around precipitation in general. And so that's a lot of the problems we're trying to solve is like, how do you predict something that's sort of unpredictable, but give them a picture of like what the scenario is and what your best case scenario, your most likely and worst case scenario is for that. And so we do a little bit of CYA forecast philosophy, cover your ass when it comes to that, where it's like, we're going to give you a range here. There are certain forecasts that's like, hey, I can tell you definitively what's going to happen, right? But when it comes to, pop-up precipitation, and we're getting that question all the time, like we're having to go into, the psychology of like, how do we answer this and give the clearest picture for something that's really a little bit more hit or miss or spotty. And so, and an interesting, and what we're doing with Flash is like we're trying to square that circle. And so we actually look at like psychology research and peer reviewed research on like how average people or the average consumer takes in like probabilistic forecasting, like percentage forecasting and stuff like that, and what is the best communication that triggers them from a psychology standpoint to make a decision, or what do they receive the most. So, just kind of building on your question, like that's the question we get the most for sure, and then that's probably the most time we spend on trying to solve that problem. There's a lot of problems we're trying to solve, but the precipitation world and all of that when it comes to impacting what people do, high winds and frost, like that stuff, like, yeah, it's impactful. Rain, water, all that stuff like that plays probably the biggest role day in, day out, I'd say, in a lot of what we're doing in golf. And so that I'd say that's probably the biggest question the majority of the time.
So along those lines, you mentioned the CYA model. I remember distinctly when we were at Oakmont this year,
Yeah.
and you had a certain superintendent who may or may not be hosting a US Open next year, kind of giving you shit about it.
Yeah.
Talk about the thick skin you have to have in this field.
Yeah. And you got to see it like that week. Like that was
yeah, big time.
like I still think about that. Like, I mean, it was an awesome week. It was a ton of fun. Like it was very stressful, like and again, nowhere near the stress of what Mike and those guys are doing or whatever, but like a little bit, like when we were standing out there on 10 on, I think it was Friday night, and it started pouring down rain, like it was very stressful having, the boys calling you every like 3 or 5 minutes, and you're trying to see, is this going to blow over in 10 minutes, or is it going to be 30 minutes or 40 minutes? And it was 40 minutes. And so, yeah, you just got to roll with the punches. And, I'm so competitive. I'm sitting there, in the hotel at 1 a.m, and I'm just like, what could I have done better? Like, you can't make the storm move. What could I have communicated better? It all comes down to communication. And so, in having the thick skin, with that certain superintendent in New York, we won't name names, but he, it's just the ability to communicate back, right? If they're going to dish it, like, all right, well, I'm going to either dish it back in some way, shape, or form, because, not to be, arrogant about it, but I do know a little bit about what we're talking about here. And I'm not sitting here when I go on your golf course talking about why, there's imperfections on your green. Right. So, it definitely is a thick skin business for sure. And, there's a bunch, it's being a forecaster. There are some similarities to being a superintendent, because it's a very humbling, venture, right? It's just something that is, you have control over certain things. You don't have control over other things. There's a lot of variables. Your membership, right, is my membership is our clientele and our people who we're forecasting for. They're going to want things to be really good. The membership's going to want things to be really good. And when they're not, they look at you, right? And so there are some similarities there. It's very humbling. You just got to go day by day a lot of times. And you definitely have to have thick skin for sure. For sure.
I've always found it so crazy how people, kind of chirp weathermen and women for getting things wrong and still always keeping their job. I always think that's so funny. It's like they literally have no idea. Like it's Mother Nature. They're doing their best. They're putting out the forecasts, especially these days with all the models and everything. So I always thought there's just there's too much hate for that. So it's good to hear that you guys have the thick skin and are able to take some of that stuff. Moving on here, we are not going to do a lightning round today because we have our lightning guy here. But I was wondering if you could do a little bit of education for some of our listeners, some of the greenkeepers out there, just about, key signs to look for when thunderstorms are developing, or, key things to look for when you might have a frost delay. Just, we don't always have our phones on us and don't always have, all the resources. So, for me, sometimes I feel like I can smell a thunderstorm coming, whether that's crazy or not. There's always little things that people can be doing to kind of, find those indicators that stuff's coming.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it has to do with, if you don't have anything on you, you're not looking at your phone, you're not looking at the Flash AI app, you're not doing that. Like you're you got to look at the sky, right? And when it comes to, having a thunderstorm and kind of feeling, I mean, we all feel during the summer, like you walk out in the morning and it's like, man, it's going to be, I think it's kind of similar to that smell, right? It's like, it's one of those days where it's humid already. I've taken 8 steps. I'm already sweating. Like a lot of times, like that's the energy needed to produce a thunderstorm. And so does it happen every time? No, but you get into the mid morning and you start seeing those kind of puffy cumulus start going up. That's a sign to me that, if I'm not looking at anything else, like today is a day that's probably favorable to have storms come through. And so, depending on the locality you're at, if you're in Florida, you don't really need to look at anything. At 3:00 it's going to rain probably. Where I'm in Southeast Texas, like that was kind of what it was. This spring and early summer was a very Florida-like pattern where at 3:00, as soon as I could get off work to go play golf, it was going to thunderstorm, which is exactly what happened for me. I'm like, all right,
That's
whatever.
how the weather always operates when you really want to do something fun outside.
Yeah. Like, and I just joined a club. I'm so excited. I can't golf in the mornings. I'm like, I'm getting out there. Inch of rain. I'm like, all right, well, I'll try again tomorrow. But yeah, looking up at the sky for sure. Frost wise, if you're a superintendent, that's probably what we do from a frost forecasting perspective is just as much confirmation, and, evidence for others versus being evidence for the superintendent. Superintendent knows their property really well. They know if they see a forecast of 38 degrees with no wind and no cloud cover, they can probably get down to the fact that there's probably going to be frost, at least in their frost prone areas. Where it helps them is sending that screenshot, or if they're professional or their GM or whoever is also on the service, they can also see the evidence of something telling you, hey, there's going to be frost versus, me telling you or the superintendent telling you, hey, I think there's going to be frost. If you have data to show, people like to see visuals. And so, frost wise, like you can kind of feel that out as well a little bit. You do have to look at some data. You can't walk out there, the morning. I mean, you could walk out there the morning of and say, oh, well, there's frost on the ground, but most of the time it's forming when, overnight when you're not there. So the night before or the day before, understanding that, hey, this is a frost prone, weather condition. Right. And so, down here in Southeast Texas for next week, like I already have a couple superintendents, like they hear about a frontal passage, right? And they see a couple of temperatures at 40 with no wind, and like they start talking about frost, right? They just kind of perk up when they see certain weather conditions. So it's different for everybody. One of my big objectives is going out there and trying to, find a model, a model of what we do that kind of fits everyone, right? And it's hard because everybody takes in the weather differently, right? Us three take in the weather completely differently. A superintendent in Columbus will take it in differently than a superintendent from Oklahoma City because the weather impacts are different in general. So it's a moving target, I would say, but everybody has kind of their own way of looking at the weather. And a lot of it has to do with, location and locality. And but looking at the sky is important. And then if you can get some data in your hands, like, being able to use that data and then recognize, what comes from that data.
You guys obviously make it easy, with the app, but is there like and hopefully this question makes sense. I'm fairly well known for asking just stupid random questions, but is there like a particular metric that you think superintendents should be paying attention to when it comes to whether it's predicting rain or what, anything along those lines? Like, is there something they should be looking at, whether it's humidity or wind speed or, any of those things?
Kind of a broad question, I would say.
Again, I'm known for, I went to a state school, Garrett. I'm not the smartest man. So
pretty smart. We had, like I said, I tried to make it. We had a lot of nice long morning walks.
We did. We're going to dive into that. Hopefully you've got a little time. So
I got some time. Right, cool. It's a good question. I would say I'll go with a specific metric that I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know if you're thinking about it this way, but solar radiation. Okay. We can model solar radiation. It's basically modeling the strength of the sun. This number will change based on your latitude at all times of the year. So if it's August 25th and it's warm across the country, your solar radiation number will be higher in Houston than it will in Minneapolis, just because the sun angle is higher the lower in latitude that you get. So we took this forecast metric. We didn't even know it really. We knew it existed, but we didn't know the modeling had it. And we put it into T3 at the time, and now it's in Flash. And we basically said, we asked all of our superintendents in beta testing, have you used solar radiation before? And they're like, no, like we didn't learn about this. No one told us about this. So we put this in, and we basically had them test it. And like, how does this affect you? And what we found was this is like, depending on your locality, depending on your latitude and the time of year, when your solar radiation number reaches a certain threshold, that is when the plant will start to stress from a weather perspective. A lot of times it's going to be at peak heating, right? At 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. But if you can have a 48-hour or 72-hour forecast to tell you, hey, on Tuesday, I'm going to have, it looks like a bell curve, right? There's no sun, then there's more sun, then it's high. That's how the forecast will look in a graph. If I see at 2 o'clock, I'm going to have peak heating today, I know my areas that are exposed on the back of 15, the back of 16 green, those areas that are just facing the sun, no tree line, nothing. I might have to get a syringe on there or water extra, that morning to make sure that we're protecting, or the rough left of 15 burns out, when we reach this number, this threshold. But on Wednesday, the top of that bell curve is kind of chopped off because maybe there'll be some cloud cover. So I'm not reaching that threshold, whatever it might be. That is like a specific, like a number that we have learned. Like if you are in the tri-state area, if you're in North Jersey, the Met, like that area, like 825, 850 watts per meter squared. It doesn't matter what the measurement is, but like just the number, we just tell it. We don't even.
It's all
I don't
foreign
even say
language
that.
to me. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. If your number reaches 850 in solar radiation, you need to know that that day you're probably going to stress. And so you either need to water ahead of time, or you got to keep staff on to make sure that you're syringing those areas that might be wilting early. So that's as specific, I would say, of like a number that directly impacts your locality. And it's all relative, like we were just talking about. Like I said, that number in Houston is going to be like 1150, or in Miami, it's going to be 1250 because you're getting more solar radiation. So,
and also impacted by cloud cover and that kind of stuff. So like that site specific number is going to change based on that environment and what the atmosphere is like then too, right?
Correct. Yeah. And a lot of our forecast variables, they take other variables into account. So, we talk about frost, like there are like 14 different forecasts, right? Temperature, wind, dew point, humidity, soil temp. So, all that stuff that is put into one forecast. That's how a lot of our metrics work. And so the same goes for solar radiation. Like it's going to take into account sun angle, cloud cover, all that stuff. The frost is a great example of like down here, like I was saying, some guys are worried about it. All 13 metrics may look great for frost, but it's going to be 85 degrees here today. So the soil temperature metric is probably going to be pretty high. That will kill it. Right. So, like you said, there's variables that go into the variables, and it's like a Russian doll of weather forecasting at that point. Just open it and there's another thing. You're just peeling the back. Yeah. Peeling the onion back. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's go. Let's dig into Oakmont a little bit. Had an absolute blast hanging out with you there for a few days.
Fun.
I know it was your first like in-person event. You've done several where you've kind of helped out from, remote location. Just talk about your experience and kind of some of the things that you were helping Mike with while you were on site.
Look back at that week. It was like the Twilight Zone. Just like, I don't like.
You're still trying to catch up on sleep, aren't you?
I'm still trying to catch up on sleep. Yeah. Yeah. It just, at a certain point, it like progresses from like you're pissed that your alarm went off to like, you're just numb to it by like Tuesday or Wednesday. And it's just like, oh, this is how it's going to be. And so it was funny pretty much every night. Few of the guys, like everybody was we were in a hotel, thankfully. There were some people in the hotel, some people in the Nittany apartment. We were in the hotel, which had a nice little horseshoe bar in there and some good pizza. And so we'd all hang out and like try not to spend too much time there, get something to eat and then go to bed, because there wasn't a lot of time to sleep there. But yeah, I mean, surreal week. Awesome to see that process in person. It has helped me tremendously in the events ensuing. throughout the year, helping with, Detroit Golf Club and the events, throughout the season after the US Open, just kind of having a vision of like, what's everybody doing? And what is the timing of things rather versus having to rely on, guys who are already very, very busy having to ask me questions. Like I can be a little bit more proactive now, knowing, what the schedule really is. And I had an idea, but you don't really know until you're there. Being in those meetings, being with, Mike and his team, those guys are like awesome. I would say, being on site in person, like I don't know how I would do it for anyone else, to be honest. Like those guys, they're just so like, it was just, I don't want to say it was laid back. It was just like, hey, we're just going to roll with the punches, which is what everybody had to do that week. And so
Just say for your very first in-person event, you got a doozy.
That's
my
a big
gosh,
one.
yeah.
From a stature standpoint of the event, plus the weather was just no bueno.
I definitely got, I did not want to look at the weather for like 2 weeks after. And so like my job doesn't necessarily always require me to look at the weather. And so for a couple of weeks, I was like, I'm not even looking at my own weather, which is probably why I would get out at 3 and think I can go play golf and it would just be storming because I wouldn't even look at my own app. But, I mean, that week, it was nonstop. I mean, Sunday was a joke. I mean, me and Kyle Hillegas are standing behind 13. We're like, is that really good? We're watching the radar and it's going to the north, and we had already been hit from the south and the east. And it's like, is it really going to try to hit us from the north? Like 3 directions in one day. Like, I know it's like cliche talk. It comes from everywhere. No, from a meteorological perspective, to be hit from 3 different directions in one day with 3 different cells is just like, I quit at this point. Like, whatever. Like, I'm going home tomorrow anyway. Like, throw me off the bridge. It doesn't matter. Sacrifice me if you have to. Which was a conversation at one point. If we could sacrifice the weather guy, maybe the rain will stop. And maybe I would have done it. I don't know. But there's a lot of bridges in Pittsburgh. It's a city of bridges, right? But no, it was an awesome week. Those guys were great. Again, Friday night, I think the days run together. I can't even remember, but Friday night, I believe it rained very hard while we were trying to get out and work. And we were just standing out there in the rain. I'm seeing all the mowers just sitting there waiting basically on, my call to Mike being like, is it done? Is it not done? And I'm like, give me 5 more minutes. And after 5 minutes, I'm like, it's going to go for 20 more minutes. We're packing it in. As soon as we get back into the shop, it stops. The damage was already done by then, but that experience was awesome in that we get there Saturday morning, 3 hours later, and I'm expecting just like people pissed, people feeling like they need to play catch up. Like we lost last night doing maintenance, and they're all sitting in there and Mike's holding court and they're holding court. And it's just like, again, not relaxed, but just a confidence of we're going to go do our job. We're going to control what we can control. Obviously there was a lot of like organizational Bill Belichick talk in there, right? Of doing your job and the standard, that sort of stuff, which I related to, as a coach, as parents who coach, like, I appreciated that a lot. And that was an environment I can work in. And Mike and his team were very, very good at doing that. And so it was funny that I think Saturday morning I was walking with Dave Del Sandro, and I'm like, so what was different about like, the last Open here that you were involved in and you were running? And he's like, he's just like, everybody was way more mad. He's like, everything was way more intense. Everything was way more mad. I'm like, yeah, I could see that. Where it was just like, here is just like, rolling with the punches, and they put on an unbelievable championship. And like, I tell my friends, because I mean, I'm sure you get some of these texts from your friends when you're on site, and like, it was Thursday or Friday, and it's like, guys are 4 or 5 under, and like, Garrett, you got to do something. Like, you got to do something. And it's like, just wait, guys. Like, they will figure it out. And the fact that those weather conditions, like no wind really all week, soft, very favorable conditions from a actual playing surface standpoint, for a guy to nail a 40-footer and birdie 17 for it to finish 1 under, like no other golf course in the world could have had that that score be that close to par. So, unfortunately the weather didn't cooperate, but, the guys who ran that, ran that entire process, couldn't have been more, more well equipped to handle, those variables and then put on an unbelievable show all week.
So seeing it in person there, what surprised you
Yeah.
most about seeing how the sausage was made?
To me, it was a lot like a football program where, you had Mike, the head coach, you had his coordinators, right, who were the assistants, right, and then you had the position coaches underneath, right. You had the tee cutters and the rollers and the fairway cutters and the rough fluffers. I was a rough fluffer for a little bit.
Got your
The
steps in.
bunker. Yeah, exactly. Everybody had their captain, right, their position coach, and then their people underneath them. And it was such a well-oiled machine. It was unbelievable. I mean, there was no, I mean, it was an unreal display of just like organization. The actual management of the turf grass was just like second thought, right? It was just like, it was so automatic. The process was so it was just very efficient. And you forget by like Tuesday, like 95% of these people have never been on this property before, and they just came in on Sunday, and it's just seamless. And we got out there Monday morning, and there was no like showing people the ropes. Like even, I got to, meet a lot of assistants or even head superintendents from all across the world. And they came in, they did their job, and, had the humility to like, the one guy I was with was from Australia. He was a superintendent at Cam Smith's home course, like was out following him around, watching him, like talking, fist bumps, like they were close guys. He's known him. He's like, I've known him since he was a junior. He's got a blower and he's blowing rough, right? Like just the humility to come in and just, I'm going to do what is asked of me and do my job and try to do it efficiently. And, that was pretty impressive to watch, just kind of everybody fall in line and try to accomplish something for free. No one's getting paid. No one's doing it for any other reason other than like, hey, I get to be a part of this moment, this championship at obviously a linchpin of a location in the world. And to come to Oakmont and be able to be a part of that was the value for everybody, even if it was just, I mean, heck, man, like I get to go walk like the golf course every morning, like prior to them go playing that, like that's enough versus going out there and doing a job. And I get to do it on, everyone's on 3-4 hours of sleep. Like it felt like a locker room team environment by the time you got to midweek, and everybody was just kind of rallying around each other. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a very, very unique experience. Some people even say it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity in this industry. And then obviously being Oakmont, US Open, and everything's even bigger. So that leads me to what I wanted to say. Just you get me going with some of that stuff you were talking about, just volunteering and being at your first tournament. People don't get paid. Everybody works together, and like 2026 is your year. If you're out there listening to this and you've been wanting to work at a tournament or volunteer, reach out to somebody, reach out to us. There are a lot of resources and ways that you can get to those tournaments, and it could change your career. You could meet one person that could absolutely change the rest of your life. So it's there's a lot of opportunity out there. It's great to hear that you really enjoyed yours. I'm sure you have more on the horizon. Before we let you go today, I hope you have a few more minutes. You have two unbelievable stories you have to tell on this podcast. The first one is Will Smith, and the second one is O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, that golf brings you in, like puts you in weird spots. And so when I was still playing, we have some pretty good friends who live in the Fort Myers area. I lived with them when I was playing and competing. And so during the winters, I'd go to Fort Myers and play, Naples National, and you would got trying to not crooked stick, the fiddlesticks, and these good clubs in the southwest part of the state. And they were very well off, had a boat. They dock in Albany in the Bahamas, one of the founding members of Albany. They know everybody. Well, their daughter gets married at Albany. First wedding ever at Albany. They don't do them, but it was the first. And I don't know if it's the only one. I can't say that to this point. It's been 6 years, but we're down there, and I'm still in the middle of playing. It's the middle of summer. Like I have a tournament the next week, so I'm trying to stay sharp. And they're like, yeah, go practice, go play, whatever you got to do. And so Francesco Molinari is on the back end of the range 1 week after he had won the Open. Tiger was out there with his dogs, just kind of out there, practicing and playing. And I'm on the front part of the range, and it's just me. Like, no one else is out there. And you got to understand, like, Drake is a member here, Justin Bieber, like, they have all the names up on their bags in the clubhouse. And it's like a who's who, but like no one's there. Like, you hear about, yeah, Tiger's boat's here, and like this guy, Justin Rose is always there. But I didn't really see anybody. You just kind of see those two guys I mentioned out in the distance. And I'm hitting balls. I'm talking to one of the locals, and another guy comes down. He's like, "Hey, Will Smith is going to come down. He says you don't have to move." I'm like, "Okay, like whatever, like whatever." Like, it didn't really register, like, Will Smith who? Like, I don't know.
Like Big Willie?
And then like, yeah, like Fresh Prince, like what? And so I just keep hitting balls, talking to one of the locals who was working there, and he comes right next to me in the bay next to me, and I'm switching clubs, and I look, I'm like, oh, that's Will Smith. He's got a 7-iron. I don't know what movie he was about to play in, but he was jacked. He was just, and I'm just like kind of ripping 2 irons and go to switch clubs and just kind of like make eye contact. He's like, hitting it pretty good today. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, Will Smith. Like,
He didn't
I'm
come
like,
smack you then too, did he?
No, he didn't. And
Okay.
I didn't say anything stupid about like getting jiggy with it or anything like dumb like that. Like, I just,
And now you're wishing you did.
yeah, maybe would have remembered me.
Should have called him
I don't know.
Bagger. Just
Yeah, I
just on the
could
way
have.
out.
I was like, yeah, hey, Bagger, can you get me a 5-iron, please? And then, so that one was crazy. This one was just like the OJ Simpson one was just like, it was just very surreal, because OJ Simpson is like, it's like, obviously he's kind of folklore. Like, it's just, I wasn't alive in 94 for that, but like everybody knows about that. And he's like a name that kind of transcends good or bad, mostly bad, I guess. I don't know. So I was playing in a pro-am, kind of with the same group. It was, hosted by the same kind of group of people in South Florida, and they would, guys would come out and play, and they had a team, and then they had their pro, and I was on one of the teams. And the first night we're staying at the Palms, and I'm 21 at the time. Penn State had just beaten Michigan in the whiteout game that Saturday. I was with them at their tailgate, and like everybody's all pumped to go to Vegas on Monday. And so we go, and we're all at the same table. My one buddy is playing 3-card poker blind and up like 6K, and I'm like, why can't I ever get that luck? I win like 40 to 1 hand. I'm like, I'm cashing out. Like, this is like 5 times my net worth at the time. I'm like, I'm out. So I thought at the time, going to the cage, the guy in front of me is cashing out like 150 grand. I thought that was the most amazing thing I was going to see all night. I'm like, this is unreal. I cash out my like 500 and then come back, and there's just like an entourage of like a bunch of like 6'6", 6'5" people. Like, it looked like an offensive line for like the Raiders. And my chair's still open, and I'm like kind of coming through and like standing, like holding like the back of like how it would be my chair. I'm like, that's OJ Simpson. Like, it's OJ Simpson. Like, there's nothing that, like, I don't even know what to think. It's like, it's OJ. And we kind of lock eyes. He's like, hey. And then I sit down, and he's on my chair still while I'm sitting down. And then they just like kind of get up and go. And my buddy to the left, and my buddy is old. He's like older. He's like 60, and he's a very, very successful businessman, but he works hard. But when he's in playtime, he's in playtime. And he is just like he saw a ghost, like just not like just looking straight forward. He's like, is he gone? Is he gone? And he had a couple
just
drinks
happen?
going through him. Yeah. He's like, and the other guy to my left, who was my pro-am partner, or to my right, just like, he was roommates with Chris Farley in high school or in college. Like, the guy's hysterical. He's just as the loosest guy you ever meet. He had dapped him up. He was like, Juice, what's up, man? Like, how you doing? Like, they had been friends like for years. And then he's like, yeah, good. And he was out. And we're all just like sitting there for like 3 minutes, and we're like, was that OJ Simpson? Like, was he just right there? And then like he had been there for like a couple of minutes, and I come in, I'm like, so did we ask him? Did we say anything about it? Did we ask him if he did it? Like he's out now. And this is 2017. This is like 2 weeks after he got like 2 or 3 weeks after he got out. Bro, that's why I'm like, I thought he was still in jail at the time, honestly. So
Yeah.
it was just like you just meet random people. I mean, I was in the, the president's suite at Bedminster behind the 18th green at a live event for like 4 hours with my buddy who fights in the UFC. And it's just like, what is going on? Like Sergio's wife's there. Harold Varner's like throwing his hat up to get signed. And it's like, what is this? And it's only golf, man. Like golf is the only sport that this type of stuff could happen.
Gonna say you had some interaction with the president then too, didn't you?
Yeah. That takes the cake. That took the cake for sure. Yeah. My buddy is a UFC fighter. Obviously the president likes the UFC and likes fighting and is friends with Dana White. And my buddy Bo is a great guy. And so like, he should love him, but like loves him, has played golf with him. The Friday we went out to the event, he was just like, Bo, come on, come walk with me. So we're all walking and we're walking with the Secret Service and everything. And I'm talking to Eric Trump most of the time. And then we thought that was amazing. And what was crazy is like, he takes the air out of everything. Like the group we were following was DJ. It was DJ, Bryson, and someone else. I forget who. I have no pictures of those two in my phone from that round. And I'm like standing there from like here to the wall, like watching them. Cause it's just like, it's a spectacle, like regardless of where you're at, it's just like, it's insane. And then I'm like, all right, well, nothing can top this. And then Sunday we literally hung out in the suite for 4 hours, just, shot the breeze with him, talked about his favorite properties. He's like, see those greens? Like, those are running 14. You know what that means? That means it's very fast. It means super fast. You would 3-putt, you'd probably 3-putt. Like that. It was that. It was literally that. It was just
awesome.
like, yeah. So, it's like I said, golf it's the great connector of sports. It's 100% of the reason why I can do my job. It's because of the people that you meet and the contacts and the relationships you build. And sometimes you get to see crazy things when it comes down to it.
So we didn't necessarily bring you on here to plug anything. I think just, weather is obviously a very important topic for superintendents, and you've shared a lot of very useful information. It's been great, but definitely want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about the Flash app and just kind of how it's impacting the industry. I mean, I know I use it every time I either going on a trip around the country or at my kids' lacrosse tournaments to try and, track what's coming and all that. So just kind of give us some insight on how it's impacting this industry and maybe where it's going.
Yeah. It's, like I said at the outset, like my role has evolved in the last year with the company, where it was kind of like come in and onboard, all of our superintendents and sort of kind of manage that, agronomy space. Right. And it's kind of transitioned from that into like Swiss Army knife into really just running our development. And so we get to build a weather app. We get to build things. It's a lot of fun. So like what's unique about what we do with Flash is like we take feedback from people. You guys have feedback on the app, you use it, like tell me how it can be made better and we'll make it better, because it absolutely can be. And so you just don't really get that with, the Apple weather app is kind of, not to call anybody out, it's Apple. So like, they're not going to be hurt by anything I say, but it is what it is, right? A lot of these weather apps, and everybody talks about the weather apps they have, they are what they are. Ours is tailored. Ours is really trying to just drill down as far as we can to get to each individual person. So, it's at where the app is at where it's at now, where it has gone from, in 4 or 5 months ago when we were at Oakmont, not something that was anything close to what it looks like now, to, I think, objectively one of the best weather apps in the world. And we have put no marketing into it yet because it's still full. We're still just running stuff out on it all the time. And so, the use of AI, and, that's a whole nother discussion, but, the ability for the model, all models are, built on a bunch of equations on supercomputers, and they have a limitation. Well, now AI, and it's a different AI than ChatGPT. What it does is it learns. It takes in past historical data and it can train itself on it. It can say, oh, I've seen this weather event before in addition to the current conditions now, which can help improve its accuracy. Most of our data updates every 2 minutes. And it allows for just a real-time view and a constant, almost like it's updating itself, to provide a more accurate picture, which is why you get more accuracy on those safety tools like lightning or even heat risk. And so, all that to say, the app portion of things and really our development of our company as a whole is a lot of fun because our CEO allows our development team to go out and be creative and build and try to find the answer. We're trying nothing in weather, right? Because like you guys said, we still get told that we flip coins and we still get told that we guess. And so apparently to the general public still, there's a lot of room for improvement. And so we're doing that. And I can't necessarily always say the rest of the industry is. The rest of the industry sometimes gets comfortable in thinking, hey, this is as far as we can go. We never think we're as far as we can go. I know we're never as far as we can go. And so, our weather command center with our agronomy data, and just kind of our platform as a whole, we're just scratching the surface there, right? We developed what we did with T3 with, we bootstrapped it, man. We had 3 kids just out of college. We had an older guy who was a great resource and a big help for us, and he's been awesome in helping us get connected. But now we have resources. Now we have backing. We have 3 PhD developers and on our staff and people who are wanting to come work for us to help develop the most intelligent weather platform in the world. And so the app, like you guys have said, you use it now. Like, man, we have a dozen awesome ideas that are already in the works to make it even better than what it is now. We're trying to make it intuitive. We're trying to make it so that the weather comes to the user versus you having to go to it, right? So if I'm a forecaster and you guys have a weather question because you see a storm's coming, right? You're going to reach out. Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to project when the user will want to reach out to their app. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to project when that question would come to the forecaster and beat them to it so that we're kind of being intuitive, being intelligent. So we're saving people time and trying to get them better information in that process. So we're excited. We're doing some things, from a business perspective that are making, in this market, our product even more attractive and affordable for our superintendents, for the business side of things. And we're really excited, what this winter is going to bring and how things are going to go when we get to the trade show in February down in Orlando.
We've had some great benefits from the app this year on the course. Remember the first time we were using it, I was actually out on a chainsaw. The kid that was working with me had my phone, and we were waiting from a call or a text from our superintendent, and the message came in from Flash Weather, and it said, you have 5 minutes until lightning hits your area. And he kind of looked up at me and was like, what is this? Like, where is this coming from? And I was like, well, that's a new app. It's for, lightning and all the different things we need to, to watch for out here. So we go back to the clubhouse and everyone's in there. Oh, should we go out? Should we go out? Oh, we're looking at the radar. And the kid's like, you guys got to look at Adam's phone. So I put the phone on the counter and they're all watching. It's real-time data of when the storm's going to hit, where all the lightning bolts are hitting around our golf course. And it basically said, you guys have 40 minutes until this is done. And after 40 minutes, everything was cleared up and everybody was able to go out on the golf course, and it was perfect. So everybody at the course wanted to start using it. Every time it starts raining, I'm getting all these texts from members and other employees about, the app. What's the app saying? How long do we have? When is it coming? So,
it's this super secret tool that
exactly. It's like, you guys can download it too,
Yeah, exactly.
We've really benefited from it. I think it's something that it doesn't matter where you live in different climates, different conditions, but it should really work for anybody.
Yeah. And notification wise, and you think of if you ever fly United or you order DoorDash, right, and you get the live activities that goes to your lock screen, right, and it just kind of tracks it and where it's going. Or if you order an Uber, no one's ever done that in weather. I can tell you, breaking news in here, I guess, that's something we're going to as well. We're going to bring something like that up, where it's you're not having to open and then go to your app and everything. I know it's such a hard taxing thing to do is open your own app, but to have it just there, all we're trying to do is just, those businesses do very well for themselves. There's a reason why, we're just trying to take all good ideas that we can possibly find and apply it. And so, that's something that we'll be rolling out here pretty soon. And we're always rolling out, cool stuff and trying to make it intuitive. And so, but all of that to say, like, it's fun to develop. It's cool. The whole point of it obviously is to do what you just said, Adam, is like to give you notification, to give you, some sort of heads up. Hey, this is coming. How can we be proactive to the situation rather than reacting and being caught out in it?
100%.
Data is king, right? The more information you have, the better off you are. So,
yeah.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a lot of extra time here. So we appreciate you coming
definitely
on and chatting with us. And, I guess before we go, is there anything else you want to add for the good of the pod here?
Yeah, no, just, one, we're super appreciative and grateful for the, the partnership that we have. And, obviously in June, it was awesome to get to hang out, and a lot of things we got in common, a lot of fun, just like camaraderie. And obviously got the text last week from you, about, trying to rub in a little bit. You didn't even have to say about Ohio State. Like, I hope we smash you or whatever. Like, you have JJ Smith and Carnell Tate and Julian Sane. You don't have to say stuff like that. So, but no, just our partnership is, we're super grateful. It's stuff like this. Like, we're growing. We're relatively new. We're a new space in this, we're a new face in this space, if you will. Us having this, kind of relationship is vital to our growth and to what we do. And so any way that we can help you guys, and any way that, with what you guys are doing to help us, we're always there to do that. And so, and there's a lot of great, I know you've been down here, Brian, a lot of great superintendents down here that have some wild stories, because the weather is insane in the Houston area. So, have to get a couple of those guys on the show sometime.
Yeah. It's on my travel list. I'm hoping to get there before the end of the year. So I'll hit you up if that's the case.
Yeah, we'll play golf.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hey man, appreciate all your time and what you do, and look forward to hopefully catching up at some point here soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Garrett. This has been great, man.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Adam, nice to meet you too. Like,
yeah, man.
Where are you at?
I'm in Ottawa, Canada.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So
I could hear our one of our lead developers, we call him Jamie Canada, because we have multiple Jamies in our company, and he's a little east of you, but he's in Canada as well. But nice. So it's starting to get cold up there, huh?
It was just before you were getting on here, I was telling Brian I got to get my backyard and garage in order, because the snow, it might snow tonight. Actually, we'll see. Got to get my app going.
It's coming. Yeah, got to get that's the one thing we're rushing on, is we don't have a ton of, you'll see it on the radar, we don't have a ton of winter stuff yet. So we gotta get that going. So
you're building. You'll get there.
Yeah, we're building. Yeah, for sure. But
time.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Be good.
Have a great rest of your week. Yeah,
you too.
Awesome. First meteorologist on the show.
Yeah,
it was great.
Good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for another week. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you so much to Garrett Bastardi for all of his time, all of his wisdom. What an episode. Keep those reels sharp, folks. Apologies if this goes fucking hard. Out on the course, every decision counts. You can plan, you can prepare, but there's one thing you'll never control: the weather. Until now. Flash Weather AI doesn't just predict storms, it sees them coming. Down to the minute, down to the exact corner of your property. Lightning, rain, heat, frost, you'll know before anyone else. This isn't a forecast, this is a foresight. This is real-time AI-powered protection for your team, your turf, and your tournament. Don't gamble with the sky, take control of it. Flash Weather AI.
I'm just calling to say I willing to say I